Oh my God.
It break you?
Yeah. So I have fished 9 FLW BFL events in my career so far. 9. And of those 9, if I could have any one back, one do-over, one mulligan, one tournament I can just start all over with, it would be this tournament that I just had on the James River. I have been just disgusted with myself since Saturday. And today's Thursday. I usually put these videos out pretty soon after the tournament, but I just didn't even want to look at it. Didn't want to look at the footage. Just wanted to get away from it and try my best to get my mind off of how I did here on the James River. I go to bed every night. I think about this tournament, what could have been. I wake up every morning. I look over to my little cabinet. It's got my little trophies and stuff on it. I said, there probably should be a trophy there from this James River tournament, but there isn't. And I'm just disgusted with myself because I failed as an angler, as a tournament guy. I feel like I failed, and we're going to jump into it and get into it all right now. But I guess I should just say the reason I'm so upset is because I had a great practice. Like, I was so confident after the Thursday before the tournament. I didn't even want to fish on Friday. I caught 15 pounds of fish on Thursday. I caught fish all day long almost, and every time I set the hook, it was at least a 2.5 pounder, sometimes upwards of 4 pounds. And good fish right here. You see, I caught off of this tree, and that tree right there was very, very productive in practice. It was also productive in the tournament, but not for me. It was for my co-angler. We're going to get into my co-angler. We're going to get in all those details, but again, I'm just really disgusted with the way I finished this tournament and how I didn't adapt, which is, you have to adapt in tournament fishing, and I failed to do that. But again, a great practice. Caught, like I said, probably 15 pounds easy on Thursday. I came back out Friday, didn't have as good of a day, but I caught a 4 pounder right off the bat, which you're going to see right here. And the worst thing that could probably happen to me was catching this 4 pounder, because it made my confidence even higher on Friday. Even though after this fish you're going to see here in practice, I didn't do much after about 7:30 on Friday. I was on a big worm bite, and everything I did, everywhere I went Thursday, they were just inhaling it. I mean, they were choking it. And so I was really confident. I had a good solid game plan, but on Friday, when that bite wasn't there, I kept throwing it. I didn't even think about throwing anything else. I didn't think about going to something with a smaller profile. I didn't think about doing anything else finesse. I wanted to power fish a big worm. And that bite went away. It went away on Friday, and I could not find it on Saturday. And as a tournament angler, you have to diagnose things like that. When you go hours and hours without a bite, you have to do something different. You've got to try a different color. You've got to do whatever you have to do to get a fish in the boat. I was unable to do that. I only weighed in 3 fish in the tournament. And but going into the tournament, super confident. I'm telling you, I felt like I was going to win the damn thing. And James River's right up my alley. I love river fishing. It's really easy once you wrap your mind around it. And it just didn't happen for me. On tournament morning, there was a 90-minute fog delay. And if you can believe, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but it was July 14th, I think, and it was cold. I remember thinking, good gosh, I need to put some long pants on. And it was cold. And the air temperature, you know, mixing with the water temperature created a fog on the water, and there was a 90-minute fog delay. And when you're fishing a tidal river system like this, where you're banking on tides and you're banking on windows of time, and a big chunk of time gets taken out of your day, it frustrated me a little bit. It made me panic a little bit. I felt my nerve. I mean, every minute that passed by and we couldn't launch, I got a little bit more nervous, because on top of a 90-minute fog delay, I had to make a 20 to 25-minute run to my fish. And, you know, the day started out very, very stressful, and it ended very, very stressful. I'm positive I was on tournament winning fish. My co-angler caught 11 pounds behind me. Actually, I think it was, what was it? It was around 11 or 12 pounds. Good enough for fourth place on the co-angler side. I have no doubt that I was around big fish. He caught a couple of really nice quality tournament fish. I have no doubt that there was even bigger fish around me. And I missed a big fish. And you're going to see that here in a minute too. But I stayed true to my big worm. I said, if I get a bite on this big worm, it's going to be a good one. And that's what you need in these tournaments, is big tournament quality fish. So I stayed true to it. I kept throwing it. You know, I kept being patient. Because I knew if I could just get on the right stretch of bank, if I can get on the right tree, I can load this boat up with 3-pounders and win this damn thing. It just never happened for me. I got frustrated, and the big worm bite went away, and I did finally make a change. I made a change at about 12 o'clock with about an hour and a half left in my day of fishing time, but it was too little too late. I was able to put 3 in the boat, and I ended up in 70th some odd place. I don't know. But the thing with the big worm was I was getting just enough bites with it that kept me wanting to throw it. But they weren't eating it. They'd pick it up by the tail and run off with it, or I'd catch an 11-inch fish with it and give me just enough confidence. Keep throwing it. Keep throwing it. Just I want you to keep throwing it, because it's going to happen. You got to have faith in this thing. And it just didn't. It just didn't. I did have a giant. I'm positive. I never saw the fish, but I am positive that I had a giant pick this worm up and start running into deeper water with it. And that fish you just saw me catch was off the end of a piece of wood. I went down about 100 yards from where you're looking at right now, and I had another one take it off the end of a piece of wood. Here, I'll just let you look at the video right now. Oh my God. You might have heard me call a big one.
To break you?
Yeah. No, I got something on here. You can see the hook's there, the worm's there. I mean, the weight is there, just no worm. Boy, she take it, start running to the channel. I knew it was her. Line is not kinked, not damaged at all. Worm was just missing. And that's how they were eating it in practice. I'm positive that was probably somewhere between a 3 and 5 pound fish that really would have helped me. But that's how they were eating it in practice. I kept fishing hard as I could, and I did pick off another fish here. This is my second keeper of the day, a small keeper. I think that fish is probably 13 inches or so, just, getting some points, whatever. It's going to help me a little bit. I kept fishing really hard throughout the day, and I finally switched over to something a little bit smaller profile. I put the big worm up. I just really lost a lot of confidence in it by this time, and as you can see off the end of that log right there, I was able to pop this 2.5 pounder. And I think I caught this fish at 12:30. I made the change to a different lure, a different bait, a different soft plastic at about 12:15. But it was too late after that. I would say I did get a bite off, a quality bite off of something different, but it was too late at that point. I had to make my run back up at about 1:20, and then I just ran out of time. I just simply ran out of time. But hey, hats off to my co-angler. His name was Jesse. He came all the way down from Pittsburgh to fish this thing. I think he said he had about 10 hours of travel time, and he was in the top 10 in the point standings coming into that tournament. I don't know where he's standing now, but after a 4th place finish, he had to move up a considerable amount, I'm sure. And he sat behind me all day long, and I would throw onto a tree or onto a log, pop it a couple of times, nothing. He would throw in right behind me, and he was getting crushed. He was doing something a little bit different than me, throwing a different bait. He was a different color, a different everything. And so kudos to him. He was able to put it together. I don't have any complaints over him. I don't, no ill feelings about him catching fish over me. He did catch a 2.5 pounder, I think, behind me on one of those trees I showed you earlier in a video. I threw in there and I caught 11-inch fish. He threw in there right behind me while I still had the fish in my hand, and fish smoked it. So in practice, I was constantly finding that where you could catch multiple fish off the same tree. And so I was actually hoping for that in the tournament, to be able to find one of those trees and just catch 3 or 4 4-pounders off of it. It didn't happen, but kudos to Jesse. He did good. But as far as me, I got some points, but that's about all I got. But sitting after the 4th tournament here, after the James River, I did catch 3 fish. I finished in 70th, whatever. I can't quite remember, 76, something like that. I got 175 points for the day, which is a lot of points. And I actually moved up in the point standings. I went from 62nd to 57th. So I guess I should say I moved down, and that's what we want. We want to as low as number as possible. I got to get in that top 45, and I'm actually 92 points out of the top 45. So that brings up the super tournament. What's going to happen in the super tournament? Is it still possible for me? Can I make up 92 points? As you know, super tournaments are worth a time and a half. So first place gets 375 points, second place gets 374, et cetera, all the way down the line. I don't know if I can make it up. I might have to win on Kerr Lake to get in. And that is asking a lot, because Kerr Lake is not one of my stronger bodies of water to fish. So we're going to have to see. We got our work cut out for us for sure. I just don't know if I can make up 92 points. It wasn't a total loss on the James. I always say this. It's always about gaining experience, having opportunities. And so, and with those experiences, the next time you have an opportunity, you can use those experiences to your advantage. And I definitely think I got that. I just reinforced in my mind, do not get dead set on one lure. Do not keep throwing something over and over and over. Don't force feed the fish. You have to let them tell you what they want, especially when you got a co-angler in your back seat smoking them behind you on something. So that's where we are. That's where we stand. That's where we're going. I'm not giving up. I'm still behind the 8 ball, and I know I keep saying that, and I've got to keep going. As you know, I zeroed on Kerr Lake on the first tournament of the year, so I have been behind the 8 ball the entire season. And if I can give any anglers any advice at all, it would be for those anglers that are fishing the entire season and trying to make it to the regional and trying to make it to the All-American, do not zero in a qualifier tournament. It is just super tough to come back from, and you almost have to win a tournament to make it happen. Even with a second place finish, as I did in High Rock, it's very, very hard to make up those points. So here we go. As far as Kerr Lake goes, I have 2 months to think about that. 2 months to think about Kerr Lake, and I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up at all. So I'll see you in a couple of months. Appreciate you watching. That's it.